Sometimes the loudest accusation in the room is not evidence. It's deflection. Welcome to the Flawless Facade, where today we're putting projection on trial. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are not trying a person today. We are trying an accusation, specifically the psychological defense mechanism known as projection. All of us have likely experienced projection at the hands of someone who wants to maybe tarnish our reputation, make us feel guilty, make us feel like things that we haven't done are our own fault, rather than that person admit their wrongdoing. They want to project it onto others. Because sometimes, as my grandfather would say, when someone points a finger, guess what are pointing right back at you? 3 fingers, right? And so ultimately, it's a lot easier to point the finger at someone else than to take responsibility for what you have done wrong yourself. They are trying to redirect the spotlight away from them, away from the things that they've done in the dark, knowing that it's very likely to come out in the light. But if they project it onto someone else, it's likely that they might be able to avoid detection. What projection actually is? Projection happens when someone cannot tolerate a trait of theirs, insecurity, or behavior within themselves. So they assign it to someone else. It's almost like the game, if you remember being a child and playing the hot potato game, how you only had so much time to hold the potato, and you could literally feel the anxiety and the anticipation as you hear the ticking of the potato. And so you try to pass it off onto your neighbor, hoping that maybe your neighbor will get caught with it and that you won't be left holding the potato. That's what I think of when I think of projection. I don't want to be responsible for this. I don't want to take accountability for this. But if I can have this person and people think that this person is the person that should be held responsible, and then I get off scot-free, that would be wonderful. So they assign it to someone else. Instead of saying, I feel dishonest, they say, you're manipulative. You are not being accountable for what you have done. Instead of saying I'm insecure, they say, you're arrogant. You think you're better than other people. Why are you so stuck up? Do you think you're better than everyone else? How many of you have had false accusations thrown and hurled at you, like you were the worst person on earth? I know many of us, especially in family systems, know what it's like to be the person who is called names, who's the black sheep, who is the person who's constantly being questioned. Unfortunately, I can relate to that because oftentimes, and more recently, I have experienced some of that. People thinking that they know what my life is like, even though I haven't talked to them in years. People who think that they know everything about me, even though we haven't talked in years. But people have these ideas that they know what is going on in everyone else's life. And ultimately, unless we are living with that person, unless we talk to that person on a regular basis, it's likely that we don't know what's going on in their lives, right? And so ultimately, projection relocates discomfort from them to you. It protects ego and it protects image. This person can maintain their image because they're projecting it onto someone else. That image protection is the beginning of the flawless facade. Let's talk about how it shows up in family systems. In emotionally immature systems, projection becomes currency. The least self-aware person often becomes the loudest narrator. And truthfully, that is the biggest part of the video, my first video that I created, When Family Turns Against You. It's not about you. It's rarely about you. It's about them. It's about their guilt. It's about their lack of self-confidence. It's about their lack of accountability. Basically, and I hate using that word. My spouse hates that word too, but basically this person is saying, I am going to be so loud that no one can ignore me. I am going to continue to repeat the same narrative until people start to believe it. Because I'm going to wear them down by continuing to be the loudmouth in the room who repeats stuff over and over and over and over again. And patterns, for example, accusing others of gossip while you're actively gossiping, creating distension, creating issues with people, like getting along, and creating drama for the sake of your own enjoyment. Because you're the loudest mouth in the room. You're the rudest. You're the least self-aware. And by golly, somebody better not gossip about you, right? At least that's how my experience was. My experience was this person was constantly bad-mouthing every single person around them, making fun of others, and just causing like a ruckus. And ultimately, the people that were around them literally were like holding their nose and continuing to hang out with this person, which I have no idea why you would do that. If someone is so obnoxious and hateful and divisive, why would you put yourself through that? Or because you're a glutton for punishment, I guess, or because you feel like they have all this control, and probably because they saw what this person did to me and did not want to be the next person, be the next person that is the object of his ire and his being upset and frustrated and smear campaign, right? I didn't want to be part of the smear campaign either. And I'm a person, I know I've said this to you guys many times, I'm not a person that does drama. I'm not. I don't buy into drama. I don't gossip about people because guess what? I don't like conflict. I don't like to talk poorly about people. Just not my style. But a lot of people thrive on the drama. And as an attorney, I've dealt with quite a bit of drama in real life cases regarding my work. So I don't need to go search out for drama. You know, I mean, if you want to watch drama, watch a soap opera, right? I don't know. But ultimately, I'm not the person that is going to be the one that's feeding and stirring up drama. No, thank you. Calling someone unstable when you're escalating them emotionally. You're trying to treat them poorly. You're trying to make them look silly. Claiming victimhood while you're controlling the narrative. While you're making up lies. While you're telling people that they said things that they didn't say. I have an example where a family member was looking at potentially a very serious consequence for something that had occurred in their life. And they had relied on someone who they thought they could trust and they thought had their back. Unfortunately, this individual was more into the drama and the gossip rather than helping them with something that they had confided in them about. And so instead of working to help that person overcome a pretty massive problem, a problem that could have very easily changed their trajectory. And this person was more concerned with getting the drama, with spreading the drama, telling other people about the drama. And this was something that should not have seen the light of day, or that people who were not inside the family should not have known about. But they did, thanks to the person who was the loudest, most annoying person in the circle, the biggest mouth in the circle, was telling everybody, because it gave them the ability to share gossip or tea or whatever you want to call it, right? What you think about that? So I would rather try to get you to trust me, share like the worst moment in your life at that point in your life, and know that you need me to help you, but I really have no interest in helping you. I would rather spread the gossip and tell people everything that this person did. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, why would they do that? Like, why do you think? I'm sorry. I will never, ever, ever understand how someone could use someone's worst moment in their life against that person and use it for gossip and social fodder and tell people, even though they were told that it was not something to be shared it anyway. And ultimately, the thing that's sad about that is that person still goes to that person, right? I mean, that's just, imagine like not realizing that the person that you trusted is not worth the trust. They're in it for themselves, for the enjoyment of watching somebody else suffer. And to me, that's absolutely disgusting. Projection thrives where accountability is absent. And depending on what your role in the family is, maybe you're the oldest child. Maybe you're the one who everyone looks to be able to build things and to be able to keep everyone together or keep everyone on track. You're the leader. But you have to be a good leader. You have to think about the people that you have surrounded you and trust you, right? You're leading them off a cliff because they don't know who you really are, because they're afraid to see past what you present to be. They have no discernment. They have no idea how to get away from you because you have controlled them. You have shared the narrative with them. You tell them how the things that they see are wrong. You are right. They are wrong. You are smarter than them, right? Isn't that what you're telling them? Because if I can convince you that you are the problem, guess what happens? You're not looking at me. I have already condemned you. I have already told you, look, no one really trusts you. I mean, I hate to tell you this, but no one really trusts you. And I mean, I can definitely see why. I mean, look, you're a mess. Like, you make stuff up. No one even thinks that what you say is true after all. And then here you go. I mean, you feel sorry for yourself all the time. Like, you're not leading anybody, frankly. I mean, the whole family comes to me and tells me like about how terrible you are and how big of a train wreck you are. You know? So that is the strategy. You can pass the buck to someone else, blame someone else, have them be the scapegoat. Another issue sometimes too is, let's talk about how it works socially. Projection works because emotion spreads faster than evidence. Most people avoid conflict. Believe the first version of the story. Why would someone make that up? I mean, that clearly probably happened, right? A lot of people give people the benefit of the doubt. They don't know. They're like, well, that person obviously knows. They shared it with us. They told us. And they often confuse intensity with truth. But let me tell you something. No one is more intense than a person who thrives on drama, who wants to make somebody else the scapegoat, wants gossip, wants drama, and wants to divide people and to be seen as the leader, to be in control, to have the power. There is no power as strong as someone who wants to be a puppet master over other people, who wants to have total control of what they think, wants to be idolized by them, wants to be trusted with by them, wants to feel important. I'm sorry, but feeling important because you cause drama and chaos in the lives of others, it's not important. That's really, really childish. Some of us never grew up, right? Thankfully, not there. So ultimately, it's like we have to ask ourselves, where is the evidence? Especially if you know this type of person and you've been involved in that situation, you know that that person thrives on drama. So ultimately, what is your evidence that you have? I mean, did you hear them say this? Did you witness them doing X, Y, Z? Like, where is the evidence? Are we just going based on hearsay? Because in a court of law, there have to be exceptions to hearsay, right? Hearsay is an out-of-court statement made to prove the truth of the matter asserted. So if, for instance, I say to you, your mom told me that you stole a car when you were 16. In a court of law, that is hearsay. So, very specific exceptions occur. So, for instance, there is a statement against interest. For instance, if you told me, yes, I stole a car when I was 16, that would be an exception that got it out, would actually allow it to come in. Because that is a statement against the person that committed that. That was a statement against their interest. And so that would potentially be allowed. Also, things like certain other exceptions also exist too. For instance, like if you had your witness and your witness who was on your side let something out, then that could potentially be admitted as well. So there's a lot of different exceptions to that. But generally, courts don't like to use hearsay a lot unless there's exceptions that exist. One of those is, for instance, like motive, identity of the person. Let's say, for instance, there is this serial killer who kills people with purple neckties, right? That could potentially be used over hearsay because it is part of the identity of the person who's committing the crimes. So also you have to ask yourself, who is benefiting from this narrative? Who is the puppet master getting everyone in an uproar, getting everyone excited, everyone upset, and sitting back and watching gleefully as mass chaos ensues? And what is the motive? Like, what is the reason for getting people so riled up? What are they looking to gain? Sometimes those of us who think deeply and those of us who've been involved in maybe dysfunctional family systems realize that some people literally are not happy unless they are creating chaos and drama. And some of them never outgrow it for whatever reason. I can honestly say, drama, no thank you. I prefer to live the calmer, happier, trusting life that is stable and consistent. Drama is not fun. It's chaos. And for those of us that have experienced it at any level, we know that we don't want to live there. We don't want to be there for very much longer. You know? We don't want to be there any longer than we have to be. I mean, 30 seconds might be too much, you know? Stability is where it's at. The fight or flight of the nervous system, not worth it. I think I shared with you guys recently that I had some issues back in late December and was just dealing with a lot of fight or flight issues, like losing my grandmother, and then some other things came up. And the visible shaking was terrifying for me. I mean, I was just that anxious. And if you've been that level of anxious and just kind of overwhelmed with that, it's like, no, thank you. I never want to go back there ever again. And praise God, I haven't. Things are great now. Thank the Lord. And let's talk about something else too. And I know many of you probably, if you've dealt with projection, you know. Projection often reveals motive. So ultimately, this is why calm people lose the room temporarily. The person who stays calm during projection often looks cold, right? It's so easy to judge other people and especially if we don't know them very well, like, why are they staying so calm? Like, why are they so grounded? Like, I'm not understanding, like, why they're not, like, I didn't do this, right? Because a lot of people think that when someone is projecting something on you, that if you're not, like, indignant and you're not upset, what are you doing? So then clearly, yes, you did this. I mean, you're not even trying to defend yourself. But haven't we talked before about there ain't no point in talking when nobody's listening, right? And that person's sure not going to listen. How many people have they recruited on their side, right? So you look detached, unbothered. Maybe because you're sick of this person doing this, right? And ultimately, I think a bigger stake in this is ignoring what is happening behind the scenes with the puppet master and the people that he's, controlling, right? Because ultimately, I mean, you could argue till you're blue in the face. Guess what? It might change some minds, it might, or it might not. I mean, we don't know what that person is telling other people. But oftentimes, the people are so used to having things projected at them or accused of things that they didn't do, especially if they have a long-standing relationship with this person and understand their dramatic flair for drama. But sometimes they're simply regulated. They realize that they can talk till they're blue in the face, and it might not change any minds. And that's okay, because they know what they've done. They know what they haven't done, and they know what that type of person is doing and trying to do. So they're like, you know what? I have nothing to prove. And for that person, it almost is like taking their oxygen, because the drama provides the oxygen that they want to thrive on. And regulation doesn't perform well with theatrics. Volume wins short term. Consistency wins long term. So today we ask, when someone repeatedly accuses others of what they themselves are doing, let me give you an example. For instance, we had someone who was saying that they had made a particular payment to someone who was doing a service for them. And my spouse had actually put some money somewhere, like in an envelope for that individual. And then the other person was like, well, I paid them. I don't know what's going on, like why they haven't shown up, like why they haven't done this. And then the scenario is, oh, wait a minute. They told me that you didn't pay them. And looking back now, after certain things come to light, we realize that it's very likely that the person had not been paid. And the other person kept denying it because they were like, of course I paid them. Like, why wouldn't I pay them? Why wouldn't I? You know, and then later on, as the relationship deteriorated, it became pretty obvious what that person was doing at certain times and what they weren't doing at certain times. Is that a coincidence when someone is projecting stuff on other people? Or is it protection? Because projection is not random. It's strategic, even when unconscious. And when protecting the image becomes more important than protecting the truth, the flawless facade takes over. Court is adjourned. And this is only part 1. Thank you for tuning in to Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace in Progress. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I appreciate you tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to leave some comments if you like, or maybe some other topics that you might be interested in, and we'd be happy to look into those. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.